If there was any question as to whether or not Intellic integration is the standard for Industry 4 integrators, I think the market certainly told us that that was definitely the case. But what is 4.0 going to be doing? What should you guys expect from 4.0 solutions here going forward? So it is a new day. The summer is over. The sale of Intellic integration has been completed, and nearly my undivided attention is all on 4.0 solutions going forward. Take 0. All right, so in this video, I want to go over what to expect for the community through really February of next year. This is a really important video. I've gotten a lot of questions about, hey, Walker, you sold Intellic. What do you got planned? What's going on, dude? And so this video is to answer those questions. Some really invaluable nuggets in here, so bear with me. I'll try to get through it as quickly as I possibly can. So first and foremost, the sale of Intellic was completed on September 1st. Today is September 3rd when I'm shooting this video. So the company is now owned and run by Matt Olson and Travis Campbell, who were on the team. Matt's was with Intellic since 2018, I think. He was actually, when I did a complete reorg in 2018 and literally reduced the team down to 4 people and then did a rebuild back up into the team that we have now, Matt was the first person added in that group. He was literally the only person who remained after we did a reorg. Well, myself, John, Tanya, and Matt, there was 4 of us, literally. And Matt and I were the only 2 engineers for about 30 days. we were billing like, it was crazy. We were doing 80 hours a week, both of us, because we had all of this work. We had some contractors working with us and stuff, but the core team. So Matt's been with Intellic since 2018. He's been the chief operating officer the last 3 years. He's been, director of operations and chief operating officer. He's been running the day-to-day. He ran the engineering group before he did that. So there's really nothing changing in terms of operational management. Travis was with the company, I think, around COVID. So he's with the company the last 4 years. He came in through the business development side. He has a background in accounting, his degree's in accounting. And he took over as chief financial officer a couple of years ago. Matt and Travis have been running the company. They basically came to me, I think 3 years ago, and they were like, hey, we want to run the company. Matt was like, hey, I want to run Intellic. And like in June of 21, I think, he took over. And, obviously there were growing pains. Like in the first 6 months or so, I had to intervene in just support several times. But over the last year, I think in the last year, I was brought in twice, 2 issues. One of those issues I will talk about eventually. It's part of the reason I accelerated this. In a nutshell, I can share some of it now that this has been closed. But there was a client we worked with who was trying to poach employees, and there was a whole exchange that I had with their executive leadership, some directors on their company, plus some officers. We really learned a lot about that group, and as soon as I'm able to, I'm going to tell the whole story. I'm going to do it from the perspective of what's wrong in our industry. At the end of the day, their tactics didn't work because of the type of company we were, the type of value the value proposition. But I'm going to do that around an entire conversation about values, the importance of being a values-based organization. So Intellic is closed. The sale of Intellic's closed. Basically, what's happening? We have a transition period between now and the end of the year. And essentially, we're just decoupling me from everything, bank accounts and all that stuff. And most of that's been done. We've separated all the credit accounts. We've done, there's a lot of stuff that we did during the sale process. But there will be odds and ends. It's like transferring the ownership of domains, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into selling a company. So we have like this transition period between now and the end of December. We are also on the 4.0 solution side, we are expanding what we're doing at 4.0. So the 4.0 solutions Intellic integration relationship going forward, it's not going to change at all. In fact, it's going to be a tightly coupled strategic partnership. In fact, we're talking about getting our office space in the same building. So, still working very, very closely together as strategic partners, except Matt and Travis own the company. They actually had their ESOP meeting today with all the engineers. So there's a whole employee stock option plan that's going in. There's a third partner. So the guy who runs the engineering group, he is actually going to be the chairman of the ESOP program, which can't be someone who is a formal owner of the company. So that there's actually a third element in there. The guy who runs the engineering group Michael, he is the director of engineering, oversees all of engineering. He's actually kind of the third non-owner of the company where he's going to be overseeing the entire ESOP program. So, a lot of people have asked me, what was that like? It was bittersweet. I mean, I needed to do it. It's something I wanted to do. It's a thing that I wanted to do for a really long time. In order for me to make it happen, I had to make a decision based on values. I did not make the decision based on money. Honestly, I kind of wish more people would do that. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I slept very nice last night, knowing, hey, the team has the company and I don't have to worry about it. Somebody taking the brand that we built and trying to squeeze every fucking dollar out of it because, the other offers that I had over the last couple of years, I had one from a company that I think was pretty closely aligned with my values, but most of the other people, they just wanted, it's like the people who award me influencer of the year kind of stuff, and they tag me on LinkedIn. They just want to piggyback on what we've built, and not all of them, but many of them do. And there were people who made offers, huge offers. I mean, some of the offers were pretty crazy. I mean, if there was any question as to whether or not Intellic integration is the standard for Industry 4 integrators, I think the market certainly told us that was definitely the case. Because I've known, I worked for another integrator. I worked for two other integrators before I started Intellic, and the integrator I came from was a company called Trimax Systems in Southern California, and I opened up the Texas office and built the team and got all the clients, and that was I was doing that from 2012 to 2015, something like that, when I started Intellic. And the guys who own Trimax, they sold to a much bigger integrator. I did end up finding out what that deal was worth, and I had offers 30 times the size of what they sold for. And so the market certainly told that, obviously what we've done with Intellic is incredibly valuable. I know what they got in the sale, and my biggest offer was 30 times what their offer was. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I'm wired that way or what the deal. I mean, obviously I'm not motivated by money, which helps. But I mean, damn, I just feel I'm really proud of what we did. I'm fucking proud as hell. All right. The relationship going forward, we're going to be tightly coupled. But what is 4.0 going to be doing? What should you guys expect from 4.0 solutions here going forward? So first and foremost, we're going to pick up the production of Industry 4 content on YouTube and LinkedIn. We are going to bring back the whiteboards. In fact, I have a new studio here. We will be moving into a new office, but this is a new studio here. The lightboard is actually going to be going right behind me. There's going to be a camera set up over there, and I'm literally going to be able to get up and do a double shot where I can be producing here and then go up and do whiteboard stuff. So we're going to be doing going back to the whiteboard videos and at a more regular cadence. I mean, a huge amount of my effort has been focused on this transition. So it's been hard to film content. I've had to do a lot of it just where I could fit a video in at any given time. Maybe it's in my car, maybe, whatever. But I had the first strategic meeting with the team today. I will be, working at 4.0 Solutions every single day. And my title is obviously Senior Solutions Architect and Educator, but I'm also the chairman of the company and I own the entire company. The plan now is to take 4.0 Solutions and scale up the rest of our strategy and then make it an employee-owned company. The difference is I won't be leaving 4.0 Solutions when that happens. Half the company will go to the employees and I will be the other owner. So that's the plan at 4.0 Solutions. We're going to go ahead and scale that up. So Industry 4 content on YouTube and LinkedIn, we will be picking that up. In mentorship, we're going to continue with technical training using guest educators. So I will be doing the occasional mentorship lesson. We'll still be having other senior engineers and architects, just like we've been doing it. Many of them coming from Intellic integration. We're actually going to be bringing in educators from other integrators as well at mentorship going forward. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that in a minute. We're going to be expanding the new practicals plus new testing. So there was a whole huge delay because we were really waiting on, the next step was for us to do frameworks with Tatsoft. But it's been delayed because version 10.1 from frameworks has been delayed. They wanted to make sure they got the platform right. Just like when inductive automation came out with perspective. It literally took inductive automation 18 months longer than they thought. Tatsoft in the exact same situation. So I'm not allowed to make the announcement, but we'll be expanding practical and testing. So step 2 is actually advanced ignition training. We'll be launching that here very shortly. I cannot give you the date because we have to finalize the date, but it is definitely that we'll be launching step 2. Mastermind, we're going to continue with strategy, architecture, and leadership training, just like we have been. We're going to be focusing a lot more on the architecture and strategy, specifically around integrating into the cloud, not just with UNS, but how do we unlock the potential of data that we are, once we're connecting, collecting, and storing, and we want to analyze and visualize at a layer above L2 or L3, we want to move into a more of an analytical layer where we're kind of predicting the future. How do we do that? We're going to be talking a lot more about that in Mastermind going forward, but we're also going to be expanding the educational offering with many more workshops. So we have 2 workshops the remaining of this year. We have the UNS workshop coming out at the end of September. We already did the foundation. We have a couple of videos that are coming out that'll be public videos that are part of that foundation. I'm actually going to do the walkthrough of the Digital Factory UNS again, except that's going to be a public video on the YouTube channel. And there's another video that we're adding between now and when I do the workshop, the 3-day workshop, September 24, 25, 26, whatever it is. But it's at the end of September. So there'll be two public videos coming out on the YouTube channel before we do the UNS workshop at the end of the month. We also have a workshop coming out for end users on recruiting and retaining the employee of the future. I'm fairly certain that's a 2-day workshop. I think it's a 2-day. Don't quote me. I'm pretty sure it's 2 days or it's 3 days. I think it's 2. Day 1 is supposed to be recruiting and retaining the employee of the future, including defining the employee of the future, talking about how is it you can recruit and retain young people to come work in your facilities, and what are the things that need to change, and how do you recruit and retain them. And then the second day is all about organizing your digital team. So how does your business look? What kind of reorg do you go through becoming a digital company? That includes a big component of that is how do job functions change. So we'll be talking about in that workshop, what is the operator of the future? What does a digital operator look like when you're going to your production workers and you're going through this process of digitally transforming? You need to tell your employees how their job functions are going to change, how they're going to leverage technology to do their jobs. We're going to talk about that in the second session. This has been a big one that end users have been asking us to do. We finally worked it into the schedule. Now that I'm wholly dedicated to 4.0 solutions, we have the time to do it. So you're going to see a huge uptick in kind of what we're doing at 4.0. Vendor Solutions Learning Lab. So this is something we've been working on for quite some time. Frameworks University will actually be the first vendor solution learning lab. So basically what we're doing is we are partnering with the vendors, same type of people who come to Prove It Conference. We're going to be partnering with the vendors where we're going to be doing training sessions on how to use their products. Not the training sessions they do. We're going to be doing application-based training sessions in essentially 3 levels. So there will be like this introductory level that's available to everybody because we can do it inexpensively. We don't have to invest a lot of time in producing the content. So all that's going to be available to the world. And then you'll have this intermediate level workshop, and then you'll have this advanced level workshop. And you can kind of decide which one, how far you need to go. So some examples of these learning vendor solutions learning labs. We're going to be doing frameworks. That's absolutely on the schedule. We're also going to be doing Arduino Opta. And I'm actually working on that curriculum right now. We're going to be doing a bunch of public content on Arduino coming very soon. But I think we have 7 different vendors that we're going to be doing the vendor solution learning labs, and you're going to see those. The first one should come out, I think, in January. The first vendor solution learning lab should come out in January, right before the month before Prove It Conference. Workshops, I already said we're going to be doing the UNS workshop and then recruiting and retaining the employee of the future, plus reorganizing your business for digital. Then we're working heavily on the Prove It Conference. I want to talk about Prove It Conference here real quick. There was a guy who did a post on LinkedIn earlier today who took a shot at the conference. He basically, essentially the criticism was, why are you not promoting open source? Like, why is it you're not saying open source is a prerequisite for a successful digital transformation initiative? And the answer is because it isn't. Open architecture is a prerequisite. At the end of the day, end users are not asking, end users are not saying open source, open source, open source. In fact, a lot of end users are scared of open source. A lot of end users ask questions like, who's going to maintain this code base, right? What they care about is open architecture. What they care about is that this thing will talk to that thing, okay? And that I have a vision into how these things connect together and how they share data between one another. That's open architecture. Open source is open source code. Now, I love open source software, but the reason we don't say open source is a prerequisite for a digital infrastructure is because it isn't. It's not a prerequisite. You could successfully digitally transform with just purely commercial software. And there's nothing wrong with that. Essentially, you're paying the person who's developing the software and the hardware to maintain it and advance it and innovate it. That is a decision between the end user and the software and hardware provider. Is there a huge advantage to open source? Absolutely. I'm a huge open source advocate. But I don't say it's a prerequisite because it isn't. Okay? But the Prove It conference, what's happening here, we're going to be doing a podcast tomorrow, on Wednesday. I don't know when this video comes out. But then we're doing a podcast, myself, and Zach talking about Prove It and a bunch of stuff that we've got going on between now and the conference. And we'll actually have in that podcast, we're going to have a Gantt chart that kind of shows everything we're doing with the conference between now and February. So this week, a video goes out to all of the sponsors and the vendors, between 35 and 38 of them. There's a couple of stragglers on the bronze side that we may end up with 37 sponsors. There's a video that's going out to all of those sponsors and vendors. That's basically the what to expect between now and the conference. And it basically lays out what our schedule is. That we have a team of 3 architects who are the technical committee, myself, Matt Olson, and Michael Walker from Intellic. The 3 of us make up the technical committee. We will be consulting with all of the sponsors. We'll be reaching out to all the sponsors here in the next couple of weeks to have our initial meetings on putting together their functional specifications. So we will be showing them the architecture. We will be showing them the infrastructure. We'll be walking them through the existing digital factory that they're going to be working with. We're going to be explaining to them how they're going to connect to an instance of the digital factory while they're building their solution starting October 28th. We'll be writing all the functional specifications between now and October 28th with the sponsors, okay? Essentially, what we're going to do is we're going to take our digital factory, we're going to go to the vendor, and we're going to go, hey, vendor, here's our digital factory. This is what it looks like. We're going to give them the lay of the land. And then we're going to say, how would you recommend they use your product or your service to further their digital strategy? And then we're going to work with them to turn that into a hardened functional spec. Those specs are all going to be published to the community. All of you will see these specifications. They're going to be published publicly. And then starting October 28th, they will all start working on their solutions. The technical committee, will be there to support them if they run into an issue with their Docker container for their digital factory. And then we'll be doing a bunch of content between October 28th and when the conference goes live at the end of February. So Prove It Conference is a huge, massive undertaking. I want to talk about one other thing on the Prove It Conference. We're taking, and I have no doubt it's going to go off, and we're gonna kill it. I have no doubt. We have an incredible team that's leading the conference, and the director of the conference is a very, very seasoned. Is very seasoned at running these types of enormous engagements. So I'm very, very confident in the director and the team that we've put together to put the conference on. And then the stable of sponsors and vendors that we have is incredible. We're over 61% end users. So right now the attendees who are coming, over 61% of them work in manufacturing facilities. So, and we're keeping that balance. We want nearly 2/3 of the attendees to be the end user, because that's What we want to do is we want to connect the solution with the people who have the problem. We don't want the conference to be just a bunch of people who have solutions and not enough people who have problems. Okay. And the Prove It conference is all about people learning what does digital transformation look like and how do I take this solution and make it part of my overall strategy. And then last but not least, we are going to be 4.0 solutions. A big thing that we're going to be doing going forward is, we already do digital transformation maturity assessment, but we are going to be certifying integrators. So right now I think we have 5 or 6 integrator partners with 4.0 solutions. So we have one in Mexico, we have one in Colombia, we have Ireland, here in the 2 in the United States, 3 in the United States. So that makes 7 partners. We are going to be doing a thing here where we are going to be putting together a integrator certification program for Industry 4. So essentially, we are going to offer to the integrators to train them on our Industry 4 methodology, then evaluate them, test them, certify them, and then we will publicly promote them through IIoT.University and 4.0 Solutions public channels. What 4.0 Solutions is going to be doing is 4.0 Solutions already does DTMA, but one of the things that we're going to be doing going forward is doing proof of concept workshops with the end users. So we're going to come in, this is going to be a 3 to 5 day workshop with the end user using members of the technical committee and others and integrator partners. And we're going to be doing an analysis of an organization with the goal of outputting a digital strategy statement for them. Here's your digital strategy statement. Here is the architecture we are recommending. Here is the minimum technical requirements document, a living document. So you're going to start, this is your starting point. And then here is the proof of concept we recommend. Working with the end user, we are going to write the specification for the proof of concept. That will become a packet that we are then going to hand over to the integrator. So we're going to take that packet and we're going to hand it to the integrator to do the proof of concept. And the integrator certification program is going to be the list of integrators who we will hand the packets to. So, and this is a way of creating a straight value stream for the end user who has the problem and wants to become digital, to get evaluated, to get their strategy written for them, their architecture designed for them, their minimum technical requirements document put together for them, and then a qualifying and specifying their proof of concept. And then taking that proof of concept that will be delivered in 12 to 16 weeks for under a specific amount of money. We generally recommend you don't spend more than $50,000 on your proof of concept. Ideally, you're doing somewhere between 30 and 40 and 12 to 16 weeks. We're taking that packet and we're handing that packet to the integrator. And then we're taking the integrator and putting the integrator with the end user after we've certified that integrator. And then the integrator is going to take the POC and they're going to run with it. So that's a big piece of what we're doing going forward. So there is a lot of stuff that we have going on. There's a lot we have planned. It is very exciting times. I mean, at the end of the day, this is what I'm doing is I've made a decision that 4.0 Solutions has grown to the point where it needs my undivided attention. And we are scaling our team. We already have an incredible team, but we are scaling that team up to meet the demand of what the community is asking us for. Okay. You'll notice if you go on Discord, like my interaction on Discord is spotty because over the last 9 months, I've been just fucking inundated. I mean, if you look at the number of times I've spoken and I'll doing a lot of speaking engagements and all that kind of stuff. I'm speaking 3 times in October. There was a 4th one I was going to do, but we just could not work it into the schedule. So I'm going to be at Digital Stratosphere in Denver, speaking there. Highly recommend you come out if you guys are out in Denver or at Colorado or anywhere in the Midwest. Then I'm going to Boston the following week for Operations Calling with Tulip. There's a bunch of exciting shit that's being announced there. And then I'm going to be speaking at Mesa, Africa, a couple of weeks after that, doing the keynote address there. And then I'm hyper focused there after that piece on delivering the Prove It conference. All of January and February is going to be hyper focused on, getting Prove It conference over the line. We have a lot more content coming on that stuff. All right. So with that, If you have any further questions for me, anything else, any other questions you want from me, put them down in the comments down below. Like, subscribe. Please comment down below on any questions you might have, because I was overwhelmed with DMs on Discord and on LinkedIn about what my plans are for the future. If you got any additional questions, I'll answer every single comment that you put down there. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you in the next one.